For my presentation, I have chosen To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. First off, I want to apologize about the camera. Using a phone, so this is the best I could do here. But a little insight about our author, Harper Lee. She was born in, on April 28th, 1926. She had three other brothers and sisters. She was the youngest of them all. She was raised in Monroeville, Alabama. So she was a southern person, really born into the foundations of what the South stood for, which would be having a lot of pride in who they are, also being very generous. During this time, they were racist. However, a lot of racism still persists in the South during the 1920s. So, but Harper Lee was actually somebody that wasn't, you want to say, racist. She wasn't prejudiced, or if she was unknowingly doing it. She was kind of like a town boy. She was different from all the other girls in, in her town, and she really tried to strive away from being like a girly girl. She wasn't into like the whole, do my hair, makeup sort of thing, and really just wanted to be a different person. She was always a different person. Over the course of her time, as she developed, she went to law school. She even went to Oxford, but she wasn't really into that sort of thing. She really had a passion for writing, and she tried to tell her parents. They weren't really, too up for it, but she found her calling, and within a semester in, she kind of dropped out and decided to become a writer. And if she hadn't, we wouldn't have been blessed with such books that she has written, such as the one I'm presenting about today. The story of To Kill a Mockingbird pretty much is about a couple kids, also their father. Pretty much just time during the 1920s, and what was taking place, how the people were in the South, and you had racism. Pretty much, you had a slave, Tom Robinson, who, well, not really a slave, just kind of like a minor worker, and but Tom Robinson, who was just minding his business. He'd go into the fields and then come back every day, and then he would have a white girl named Mariella Eula, who would try to get him to come in and do certain chores for him. Would make him, nail some cabinets in and just do some work for her and all this, and and she went to kiss him, according to his defense. And when she did, he was thrown back. Of course, Tom Robinson was a married man, and he had a family, and he was just simply trying to be a nice guy, and could really be portrayed as one of the people, as a mockingbird, just someone really innocent, just doing their job, which was in reference to the story where one Atticus Finch, who was assigned to defend Tom Robinson in the accusation of him raping Mariella Eula, because her father caught her kissing him and pretty much beat her to a pulp. But they said that Tom Robinson did it, and from there turned it into a big whole ordeal, and Atticus Finch was the one who was assigned to the case. Now, Atticus Finch was somebody who was different, and different in meaning during the time period. He wasn't, all about the racism. He accepted challenges and really just saw people for who they were. And we get into the way he raised his children, the main characters being Scout, Jem, and Dill. Well, Dill wasn't his child, but, it was the little neighborhood friend that they had, and he had become accustomed to him coming in the house, and, but really how he raised Scout. And he raised Scout to be different from most of the girls during that time period. Really, he taught her how to read at an early age. She addressed him as Atticus instead of calling him father, and she was just different. He was just, different. And where we can get comparisons to the story to Harper Lee's life was, she has downplayed this, but she could be compared to the character Scout, just because they were kind of the same, and both being a town boy and all that. So, you know. But a little information about the book. It was published on July 11th, 1960. Immediately became a bestseller as soon as it came out. And, an interesting fact, Harper Lee thought that it wasn't going to be a straight success. She was really one of her first works, and, she just kind of ran with it. And she was actually very surprised with the success that it had come to gain over the years, and really what it has become. Really putting something in that she didn't feel was going to be something that people would like. And I guess you can bear reference to the time period of what was going on in the 1960s, just, with racism, how it was, Martin Luther King, just still a lot of people not really looking at that sort of lifestyle, not really looking at people being different, but then at the same time they were. So it was kind of like a little diamond in the rough, so to say. She kind of just ran with it, and even today has more than 30 million copies printed. It was voted in 1999 as the best novel of the century. So impressive for somebody who really just made a story. And not really thinking it would have success, and it really turned into a worldwide phenomenon. This is obviously one of my favorite books that I've read. Just also with how the characters were with Scout, and how they portrayed their neighbor Boo Radley being some kind of monster, because he didn't really come out of the house at night. I guess, if you look, kind of observe and analyze things, you could say that Boo Radley maybe had a mental disorder, and that children really didn't understand. And that's a perfect way to see children. They don't, when they see things that they don't know, they turn into something that's scary, big kind of a monster that is going to destroy them, so to say. And they were really fearful, but at the same time, they were curious, and they were curious to see what kind of person Boo Radley was. So, it was a really good story in portraying that, and just looking different upon people. Now, back to about the author, Harper Lee pretty much saying, this is not about her life, when she actually had a childhood friend named Truman Scott. He was somebody that was what some people say he could have been Dill in the story. And he came out and said, what, it's false, he truly believes that Harper Lee was reflecting herself as Scout. And just because who she was, Scout was a town boy, Harper Lee was a town boy, and also he said that they had a friend, well, not a friend, excuse me, a neighbor that lived down the street that would used to go and get things out of the trees for them. So that would bear resemblance to what Boo Radley did by getting these soap characters and carving them and putting like broken watch and stuff inside the tree. And he said, it's really interesting that she downplayed that, maybe, just she's trying to be modest or anything, but he really believes that that was almost like an autobiography of her childhood, and that's something really cool. And over the years, just as the book has been read throughout and gained success, it's received a ton of awards. One of the most recent would be the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The first award it received was the Pulitzer Prize in 1961. So Harper Lee did a lot, and she was an author that deserves to have a lot of the success that she's had. And also, To Kill a Mockingbird was a great book. Thank you.